The moment I saw Victoria toss Emma's baby blanket into the trash, something inside me screamed, "Stop!" I didn't hesitate. I sprinted across the street, my 71-year-old knees burning with every step, and yanked open that dumpster lid. The stench hit me, rotting fruit, spoiled milk, forgotten things. But there it was, that pale yellow blanket I'd knitted with arthritic hands 4 years ago. I clutched it against my chest, breath ragged. Why would she throw this away? Something Daniel had loved so much? Sob. The sound escaped before I could stop it. At home, I locked every door. Twice. My hands trembled as I spread the blanket across my kitchen table under harsh fluorescent light. I traced every stitch, every loop I'd made while Daniel was still breathing, still laughing, still alive. That's when I felt it. A hard rectangular shape buried deep inside the cotton layers. My pulse spiked. This wasn't part of my design. No, what is this? I whispered. I grabbed my sewing scissors, the same ones I'd used to finish this blanket. Thread by thread, I cut through the careful stitching along the bottom seam. Someone had opened this, hidden something inside, and sewn it back with surgical precision. Deliberate, professional, terrifying. I reached inside the opening. Cold metal touched my fingertips. When I pulled it out, the air left my lungs. A cell phone. Small, black, and old. Maybe 4 or 5 years based on the cracked screen and outdated model. It felt heavy in my palm. Guilty. Like it had been waiting in the dark for someone to find it. My name is Margaret Chen. I'm 71 years old. And I've lived alone in this house since the day I lost my son Daniel. He was 34 when he died. 4 years ago, this October. I'll never forget Victoria's phone call that afternoon. Her voice shattered through the receiver. "Daniel fell! Down the basement stairs. Margaret, he's not breathing. Oh God, please, he's not moving." I made it to the emergency ward in 12 minutes. Ran 2 red lights. Didn't care. Victoria sat hunched in a plastic chair, her face buried in her hands. She wore a cream dress. Blood stained the sleeves. When she saw me, she collapsed into my arms, weeping, shaking. I tried CPR, she choked out between gasps. I called 911, but he wouldn't wake up. 20 minutes later, a doctor emerged. His expression told me everything before he spoke. "I'm so sorry. The head trauma was too severe." "We did everything we could," I screamed. An animal sound I didn't know lived inside me. My legs buckled, and I hit the cold linoleum floor, bruising both knees. Victoria held me while I shattered. My husband had died of cancer 8 years before. Now Daniel, my brilliant, compassionate, dedicated son, was gone too. He'd been a nurse practitioner. He saved lives. He wasn't supposed to die at 34 from falling downstairs. And now he's buried under this phone, hidden, sewn into my granddaughter's blanket. The blanket Victoria had thrown away like it meant nothing. I plugged it into my old charger, hands still shaking. The screen flickered after 10 agonizing minutes. No password, no security lock. Someone had wanted this collection to be easy to access. I opened the photo gallery first, holding my breath. The first image stopped my heart. Victoria, smiling, radiant, sitting in that expensive downtown restaurant Daniel could never afford, the one with the crystal chandeliers and $100 steaks. But she wasn't alone. A man sat beside her. Dark hair, strong jaw, expensive suit. His arm draped across her shoulders. He was kissing her cheek. She was leaning into him like he was her whole world. I checked the timestamp with trembling. Fingers.October 2020, 6 months before Daniel fell down those basement stairs, 6 months before. My son died when Victoria was still married to him. The next folder contained videos, dozens of them, and what I saw in the first 30 seconds would prove that my son's death was never an accident at all. I couldn't breathe. My fingers hovered over the screen, frozen. Should I open the video folder? Did I really want to know? Yes, I had to. For Daniel, I tapped the first video file. The screen went black for 3 seconds, then flickered to life. Home footage. Shaky at first, then stable, as if the camera had been propped on a shelf. I recognized the living room immediately. Victoria and Daniel's house. The gray sectional sofa. The glass coffee table. That ridiculous abstract painting Daniel had bought at a garage sale because it spoke to him. His laugh echoed in my memory. God, I missed that sound. Then 2 figures entered the frame. Victoria. And him. The man from the restaurant photos. Before they could even reach the sofa, I stopped the video. My stomach lurched. I couldn't watch more. Not yet, but I had to know the truth. With shaking hands, I scrolled through the other files. There were dozens. 23 videos total, all recorded between October 2020 and March 2021, just weeks before Daniel died in April. I forced myself to open the Messages app instead. Maybe text would be easier than watching my daughter-in-law betray my son in high definition. One contact stood out. K, just the letter K, no name, no photo. But the conversation stretched back years. I started reading from the beginning. Victoria, Octi 2020. I can't do this anymore. I hate lying to him every day, K. Then leave him. I told you that from the start. Victoria. It's not that simple. He'll take everything. The house. His family will turn against me. I'll have nothing. K. So what do you want me to do about it? There was a gap. 3 days of silence. Then Victoria replied, Victoria. There has to be another way. A way where I get to keep everything and he just disappears, my vision blurred. The phone nearly slipped from my grip, K. Don't talk like that. You're scaring me, Victoria. Why? People have accidents every day. Falls, car crashes, medical emergencies. He's a nurse. He works long shifts. He's exhausted all the time. Who would question it? It in Jesus Christ, Victoria. Stop. Victoria. I'm just thinking out loud. Kay. No, you're talking about murder. Victoria. I'm talking about freedom. I set the phone down. The kitchen walls seemed to close in around me. I couldn't stop the sobs that tore through me, ragged, broken sounds I didn't recognize as my own. Daniel had been murdered. My son, my kind, brilliant, loving son, had been murdered by the woman who promised to love him forever. I pressed my palms against my eyes until I saw stars. When I could breathe again, I picked up the phone and kept reading. The messages continued. Kay tried to talk Victoria out of it repeatedly over the next month. But Victoria grew more desperate with each exchange. Victoria, Deck 2020. I found someone. Someone who can help us. Kay, who? What did you do? Victoria. Someone who owes me a favor. Someone who knows how to make things look natural. Don't worry. You won't be involved. Kay, this is insane. I loved you. I wanted a life with you. But not like this. Never like this. I'm blocking you. Don't contact me again. And he did. The conversation ended there. December 18th, 2020, 4 months before Daniel fell down the basement stairs. I opened the Notes app, hands trembling. One entry, dated April 10th, 2021, the day before Daniel died. Tuesday. 2:30 p.m. D is home alone. Basement stairs. Make it quick. Make it clean. Accident only. $50K on confirmation. The phone clattered onto the table. My chest felt like it was caving in. Victoria had hired someone. She'd paid $50,000 to have my son killed. Staged as an accident. A fall down the basement stairs at 2:30 in the afternoon when no one else would be home, and I'd believed her. I'd held her while she cried. I'd comforted her. I'd told her it wasn't her fault. I grabbed my actual phone. My fingers fumbled twice before I managed to dial Ruth's number. She answered on the second ring. Margaret? It's almost midnight. Are you okay? Ruth, my voice cracked. I need you to come over. Right now, please. I found something. Something about Daniel. Something terrible. I'll be right there. She arrived 6 minutes later, must have run every red light. I met her at the door, eyes swollen, clutching Victoria's hidden phone like evidence at a crime scene. Because that's exactly what it was. Ruth stepped inside, took one look at me, and pulled me into a hug. She smelled like lavender soap and safety, a reminder that good people still existed. "What happened?" she whispered. I handed her the phone. "Read the messages. Then tell me I'm not losing my mind." Ruth sat at my kitchen table and went through everything. I watched her face change, shock, horror, disgust, rage, as the truth unfolded. When she looked up, tears streaked her cheeks. "Margaret, we have to call the police. Now." 10 minutes later, when Ruth dialed 911, the dispatcher transferred us to a detective on duty. His voice was gruff and tired. "This is Detective Harris." "What's the emergency?" Ruth explained quickly. There was a long pause. Then the detective said something that made my blood run cold. "Ma'am, I need you to understand something. This isn't the first time someone's called about Victoria Chen. Victoria had been investigated before, for another death, another accident, and the case file had been buried for 3 years." "What do you mean this isn't the first time?" Ruth's voice sharpened. She gripped the phone tighter. Detective Harris sighed, the sound of a man who'd carried too many dark secrets for too long. 3 years ago, a woman named Monica Brennan filed a report claiming her brother died under suspicious circumstances. He'd been married to Victoria Chen for 18 months. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of the kitchen table to steady myself. "Wait," I managed. "Victoria was married before Daniel?" "Twice before, actually," Harris said. "First husband, Marcus Webb, died in a boating accident in 2016. I couldn't breathe. Ruth's hand found mine under the table. Harris continued, his voice heavy. "She inherited his life insurance. Second husband, Eric Brennan, fell from a hotel balcony in 2019. She inherited his estate." Oh, God. My stomach twisted into knots. "Both deaths were ruled accidental," Harris said. "But Monica Brennan insisted her brother was terrified of heights. Said he'd never go near a balcony. She pushed for an investigation, but there wasn't enough evidence. The case was closed within 3 months. So you knew?" Ruth's voice cracked with fury. "You knew Victoria might have killed before, and you did nothing?" "We had suspicions. Not proof," Harris paused. "But I'll be honest with you. When Monica filed that report, I opened the files on Victoria's first husband, too. Both deaths had one thing in common: large insurance payouts and short marriages. Marcus Webb was worth $500,000. Eric Brennan was worth close to $2 million. And Daniel?" I whispered. "How much was my son worth to her?" Harris was quiet for a moment. "According to the paperwork we pulled when Mrs. Chen called 911 that day, your son had a life insurance policy through his hospital for $300,000. Victoria was the sole beneficiary. $300,000. My son's life had a price tag, and she'd paid someone $50,000 to collect it. What happens now?" Ruth asked. "Can you reopen the case? With the evidence you found?" "Absolutely." I could hear rustling papers through the phone. "That cell phone is critical. Text messages, notes, videos, that's conspiracy to commit murder. We'll need to examine it immediately. Don't touch it anymore. I'm sending officers to your location right now." He hung up. Ruth and I sat in stunned silence, the weight of everything pressing down like a physical force. 3 husbands, Ruth finally said. 3 dead husbands. Oh my God, Margaret. She's a serial killer. I finished the sentence she couldn't. My voice sounded hollow, distant, like it belonged to someone else. Victoria had been living next door for 4 years, smiling at me over Sunday dinners, holding my granddaughter Emma, crying at Daniel's funeral while wearing grief like a costume, and I'd believed every lie. "Emma," I gasped, the realization hitting me like a punch to the chest. "Ruth, Emma is still with her. Victoria has custody of my granddaughter." Ruth's eyes went wide. "Do you think she'd—" I don't know what she's capable of anymore. My voice rose with panic. What if Emma knows something? What if she saw something that day? Emma had been at school when Daniel died, but she'd been 4 years old enough to notice things, to ask questions, to remember details. What if Victoria sees her as a threat? I reached for my phone. My fingers fumbled twice before I managed to grab it. I need to call her. I need to make sure Emma's safe. Margaret, wait. Ruth reached for my hand. If you call Victoria now, she'll know something's wrong. The police said not to alert her. I don't care. My voice broke. That's my granddaughter. That's Daniel's daughter. I'm not letting that monster. A knock at the door made us both jump. 2 police officers stood on my porch, a tall woman with sharp eyes and cropped gray hair, and a younger Latino man with a notebook already out. Mrs. Margaret Chen? The woman asked. I'm Officer Linda Reyes. This is Officer Martinez. Detective Harris sent us to collect evidence. May we come in? I nodded, stepping aside. They entered with practiced efficiency, pulling on latex gloves. Is this the device? Officer Reyes gestured to Victoria's phone still, sitting on the kitchen table. Yes, everything's on there. Messages, videos, a note detailing how she planned to kill my son. The words tasted like poison. Officer Reyes carefully bagged the phone while Martinez took our statements. Ruth explained how I'd discovered the blanket in the trash, how I'd found the phone sewn inside, what we'd discovered on it. Martinez's pen moved rapidly across the pages. And you said there were previous marriages? Previous deaths? Detective Harris confirmed it, Ruth said. 2 other husbands. Both died under suspicious circumstances. Both left her money. Officer Reyes pulled out her radio. Dispatch, this is Unit 47. We need to locate and detain Victoria Chen immediately. Consider her armed and dangerous. Also put out an APB for 4-year-old Emma Chen traveling with her mother. Child welfare check, priority 1. My legs gave out. I sank into a kitchen chair, Ruth's hand on my shoulder, the only thing keeping me anchored to reality. Where does Mrs. Chen live? Martinez asked. Next door. I pointed toward the wall. The house on the left, the blue one, with white shutters. Officer Reyes moved to the window and looked out. Lights are off. No car in the driveway. She might have Emma with her, I said desperately. Please, you have to find them. Emma is all I have left of Daniel. But when police broke down Victoria's door 40 minutes later, what they found inside would reveal that Emma wasn't the only thing missing, and Victoria had been planning her escape for months. 40 minutes later, I stood on Victoria's front lawn, watching officers swarm the property. The blue house with white shutters, the one that had seemed so perfect, so normal, now crawled with police. Officer Reyes approached the front door with 2 backup officers. Victoria Chen. This is the police. Open the door. Silence. She knocked again. Waited. Nothing. Break it down, she ordered. The crash of splintering wood echoed through the quiet neighborhood. Lights flickered on in nearby houses. Curtains twitched. Within seconds, officers disappeared inside. Ruth gripped my arm. They'll find Emma. She's probably just sleeping upstairs. But I knew better. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. That sick, hollow feeling that had started the moment I saw that blanket in the trash. Officer Martinez came running out of the house. His face was pale. We need forensics. Now. My heart stopped. What did you find? Is Emma... The house is empty, ma'am. He pulled out his radio. But there's evidence of flight. Recent flight. And something else. Officer Reyes emerged, her expression grim. Behind her, forensic specialists in white coveralls moved through the house, photographing and documenting. She pulled off her gloves and walked straight to me. Mrs. Chen, I need you to tell me exactly when you last saw your granddaughter. 2 weeks ago. My voice shook. Victoria kept making excuses. Said Emma had a cold, then said she was too busy, then... Oh, God. You don't think she's been planning this for 2 weeks? Longer than that. Reyes gestured toward the house. The bedroom upstairs, Emma's bedroom, it's been cleared out. No toys, no clothes, no personal items. Just furniture. The closet's empty except for dust outlines where boxes used to be. The world tilted. Ruth caught me before I fell. "There's more," Reyes continued. "We found a hidden compartment behind a bookshelf in the master bedroom. It contained fake passports, 3 of them. Victoria Chen, Emma Chen, and a third identity, Victoria, under the name Sarah Mitchell." "Sarah Mitchell?" Ruth repeated. "The passport photo matches Mrs. Chen, but with shorter blonde hair. Issued 6 months ago. Likely after she sensed someone might be getting close to the truth." Reyes pulled out her phone, showing us a photo of the documents. "There are also bank statements from an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Regular deposits over the past 4 years totaling close to $400,000. The insurance money. She'd been funneling it overseas, hiding it, preparing. She was always planning to run," I whispered. "From the moment she killed Daniel, she knew this day might come." Reyes nodded. "We also found a laptop in a locked drawer. Our tech team will analyze it, but at first glance there are flight booking confirmations. Mexico City, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Less than 8 hours from now. Can you stop her?" Ruth demanded. "Alert the airport?" "Already done. Every airport, bus station, and train terminal within 200 miles has her photo. Border Patrol's been notified. She won't get far." But Reyes didn't sound as confident as her words suggested. I thought about Victoria. Calculated, patient, ruthless Victoria. A woman who'd killed 3 husbands and gotten away with it. A woman who'd sewn a phone into a blanket because she couldn't bear to lose the evidence of her own cleverness. Would she really use a commercial flight under her own name? "What about Kay?" I asked suddenly. "The man from the messages. Have you found him?" Reyes consulted her notes. "We're tracking down the number from that contact. If we can identify him, he might know where she's headed." Martinez jogged back over, slightly out of breath. "I just spoke with the neighbors on the right, the Johnsons. They came outside when they saw all the activity. They say they saw Mrs. Chen loading suitcases into a silver Honda 20 hours ago, around 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. The child was with her. They waved, said she told them she was taking Emma on a surprise vacation to visit family. 20 hours ago. While I was finding the phone, while I was reading the messages, while I was discovering the truth about my son's murder, Victoria was already escaping." "Did they get a license plate?" Reyes asked. "Partial. Running it now." My hands clenched into fists. "She has more than a full day's head start. She could be anywhere by now." "Not anywhere," Reyes said. "She's with a 4-year-old child. That limits her options. Kids need food, bathrooms, breaks. They draw attention. Someone will have seen them." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But Victoria had spent 4 years pretending to love my son while planning his death. She'd stood at his funeral and cried crocodile tears. She'd looked me in the eye and lied 1,000 times without flinching. What else had she been planning? What other identities did she have? What other escape routes? "Mrs. Chen," Reyes said gently. "We're going to find Emma. I promise you that." But promises meant nothing. Victoria had promised to love Daniel until death did them part, and she'd kept that promise by making sure death came early. What we didn't know was that Victoria had already crossed the border, and the call I received at 3 a.m. would force me to make an impossible choice: save Emma or bring Victoria to justice. At 3:17 a.m. my phone rang, unknown number. My heart hammered as I answered. "Hello?" "Grandmother Margaret." Victoria's voice, calm, cold. "I know you gave police that phone. That was a mistake." I sat up in bed. Ruth had insisted on staying the night after we returned from the border. She was asleep on the guest room mattress beside me. "Where's Emma?" "Sleeping in the back seat. For now." Victoria paused. "I want $200,000 wired to an offshore account. You have Daniel's estate access. You have 1 hour or Emma dies." Ruth's eyes flew open. I put the phone on speaker. "How do I know Emma's even alive?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. A rustle. Then Emma's sleepy voice. "Grandma?" Tears burned my eyes. "Baby, are you okay?" "I'm tired. Mommy says we're on an adventure, but..." The phone was yanked away. "1 hour, Margaret? Wire the money, or the next time you hear Emma's voice, it'll be her screaming." The line went dead. Ruth grabbed her phone. "I'm calling 911. I called Detective Harris directly." He answered on the first ring. "Mrs. Chen? Victoria just called. She's demanding money, threatening to kill Emma if I don't pay. She said she's heading to the Mexican border." "Did she say which crossing?" "No, but..." I closed my eyes, replaying every sound. "I heard highway noise, distant, and a bell. Like a church bell. It rang twice while she was talking." Harris's voice sharpened. "That's good. That's very good. Stay on the line." I heard him shouting orders. "Check border crossings near churches. Narrow to those with highway access within audible range. Get thermal imaging if we have drones." Minutes stretched like hours. Ruth paced. I sat frozen. "Margaret," Harris said finally, "we've got a possible location. San Ysidro Crossing, Catholic Church, 3 blocks east. Moving units now. I'm coming with you. Mrs. Chen, she's my granddaughter." "I'm coming," Harris sighed. "Officer Reyes will pick you up in 5 minutes. But you stay behind the police line." "Understood?" The next hour blurred. Reyes drove like she was racing death itself. We reached the checkpoint at 4:53 a.m., police vehicles everywhere, lights flashing, officers in tactical gear, and there, parked at a gas station 1 block from the crossing, a silver Honda. "That's her car," I breathed. Harris appeared at our window. "We've got eyes on the vehicle. 1 adult female, 1 child visible in back seat. Preparing to approach?" "Be careful," I pleaded. "Don't let Emma get hurt." "We won't." His expression was steel. "Victoria Chen isn't going anywhere but prison." I watched through the windshield as tactical officers surrounded the Honda, weapons drawn, shouting. Victoria's face through the glass. Shock. Then rage, then cold calculation. Her hand moved toward the back seat. "No!" I screamed. An officer smashed the back window. Another reached in, carefully lifting Emma out, crying, terrified but alive. Alive. Victoria fought as they dragged her from the driver's seat, handcuffs, face pressed against the hood. Miranda rights while she screamed obscenities. The officer carrying Emma walked toward the police line, where I stood behind the tape barrier. "Grandma's here, sweetheart," he said gently, placing her in my arms. I caught her tight, sobbing, holding her like I'd never let go. She smelled like cheap motel soap and fear, but she was breathing, warm, real. "I've got you," I whispered into her hair. "I've got you, baby. You're safe now." Over Emma's shoulder, I watched them load Victoria into a police car. Our eyes met for 1 second. She smiled, cold, empty, the smile of a woman with no regrets. Then she was gone, and for the first time since finding that blanket, I could finally breathe. 6 months later, Victoria was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted kidnapping. She'll spend the rest of her life in prison without parole. Emma lives with me now. Sometimes she asks about her daddy. I tell her the truth, that he loved her more than anything in the world. And that hidden phone? The one Victoria kept as a twisted trophy, sewn into Emma's blanket where she thought no one would ever look? That arrogance became her downfall. Kate, the man from the messages, came forward during the trial. He testified that he'd begged Victoria to stop, but she wouldn't listen. He said carrying that guilt nearly destroyed him. Now he's cooperating with authorities, helping identify other potential victims. As for me and Emma, we're healing, slowly, together, building a life from the ashes of tragedy. And every night before she sleeps, I tuck her in with a new blanket, one I knitted myself, pale blue with her name embroidered in gold thread. This one holds no secrets, only love. Thank you for listening to today's story from Granny Story Corner. Life teaches us lessons in the most unexpected ways, doesn't it? If this story touched your heart, please Please subscribe for more real-life tales that remind us of our shared humanity. Until next time, may your own story be filled with wisdom and love.